You won't believe what happened in my quiet neighborhood one night, something that felt straight out of a drama series. Imagine waking up to the sound of chainsaws buzzing under the moonlight, only to find out that my beloved 100-year-old tree was being cut down. And not by just anyone, but by a neighbor from the HOA. This wasn't some accident or a routine trim. It happened at midnight, under the cover of darkness, like a secret mission. The person behind this, the infamous HOA Karen, the one who always seems to have a problem with everyone and everything. What started as a simple disagreement over property lines quickly escalated into something way bigger than anyone expected. This story isn't just about a tree. It's about standing up for what's right, about community, and how far some people will go when they think they're above the rules. And here's the twist. After this shocking midnight act, things took a serious turn for the worse for Karen. The local authorities got involved, and now she's facing a felony charge. But how did we get from a backyard feud to a criminal case? And what happens next for our neighborhood? Stick around because the full story is even crazier than you think, and the outcome is still unfolding. You're not going to want to miss this. Before that night, everything seemed normal. Well, as normal as it can be when you live in an HOA neighborhood. The rules are strict, and tensions sometimes run high, but we all try to get along. My tree wasn't just any tree. It was a massive, majestic oak that had stood in my yard for over a century. It was part of the neighborhood's history and a favorite spot for kids, birds, and even the occasional squirrel. Neighbors would stop by just to admire it, and I took pride in taking care of it. But not everyone saw it that way. Karen, the HOA board member with a reputation for being difficult, had complained for months about my tree. She claimed it was a hazard, blocking views and dropping leaves, but no official inspection ever supported her claims. Many suspected she had personal reasons, maybe jealousy or just a need for control. The tension built quietly, and I tried to stay calm, hoping things would settle down. Then came the night when it all exploded. The sound of chainsaws echoed through the darkness, and I couldn't believe what was happening. Someone had made a decision without warning, without permission, and it wasn't just any tree being taken down, it was my family's legacy. What no one expected was how the community would react, and how this act would trigger a chain of events involving the police, legal battles, and questions about power and justice. The deeper we dug, the more complicated and intense the situation became. After that night, the neighborhood was split. Some people sided with Karen, saying the tree was a safety risk and needed to be removed. Others, like me, felt blindsided and angry. This was more than just a tree. It was a symbol of our history and community. The HOA claimed they didn't approve the midnight cutting, but Karen insisted she was just trying to protect the neighborhood. It became clear that this wasn't just about a tree. It was about power, control, and old grudges bubbling to the surface. Meanwhile, rumors started swirling. Some neighbors said Karen had personal reasons for wanting the tree gone, maybe jealousy, maybe an attempt to push me out. Others whispered about questionable decisions she'd made on that HOA board before, but no one had ever spoken up loudly. Suddenly, the community's polite facade cracked wide open, and everyone had an opinion. I found myself caught in the middle of a storm I never expected, with friends unsure who to trust and neighbors watching closely. As the police got involved, the story took another twist. Evidence surfaced that the midnight cutting wasn't just reckless, it might have crossed legal lines, leading to serious charges against Karen. But even with the felony charge looming, the tension didn't ease. Questions remained. Why risk everything for a tree? What will happen to our neighborhood if this escalates? And how do we rebuild trust when so much has been broken? The next chapter is about to unfold, and it's far from over. As the days went by, the tension in the neighborhood grew almost unbearable. Meetings that used to be polite turned into heated arguments, with voices raised and old wounds reopened. People who barely spoke before were suddenly divided into camps, those who wanted justice for the tree, and those who backed Karen, despite everything. Social media blew up with posts, pictures, and opinions, turning our quiet street into a battleground. I kept wondering how it had come to this, how a simple tree could spark such chaos. The midnight cutting wasn't just an act of vandalism, it felt like a declaration of war. Karen's felony charge only made things worse, and with the police now involved, everyone waited anxiously to see what would happen next. But beyond the legal battle, something deeper was unfolding. Trust was shattered, friendships were strained, and the neighborhood's sense of community was slipping away. Meanwhile, Karen remained stubborn, refusing to back down or admit any wrongdoing. Her side of the story painted a very different picture, one of protecting property values and enforcing rules. But the question on everyone's mind was this really about a tree, or was there something else driving her? The pressure kept building, and with each passing day, it felt like we were all hurtling toward a breaking point. No one knew how this would end, but one thing was clear. The fallout from that midnight night was far from over, and the next move could change everything. Just when I thought things couldn't get any crazier, another twist shook the whole neighborhood to its core. A few days after Karen's felony charge made headlines, a secret came to light, one that no one saw coming. It turned out that the tree, the very one Karen tore down in the dead of night, was actually protected by a local historic preservation law. This wasn't just any old tree. It was officially recognized as part of the community's heritage, meaning cutting it down without proper permission wasn't just illegal, it was a serious offense. Suddenly, Karen wasn't just facing a simple vandalism charge. This was escalating into something much bigger, with potential fines and legal trouble far beyond what anyone expected. But that wasn't all. As the investigation dug deeper, whispers emerged that Karen might have acted with the backing of some HOA members who had their own agendas. Some neighbors suspected there was a push to remove more problematic trees and change the neighborhood's character, sparking fears that this was just the beginning of a much larger conflict over control and community identity. What started as a dispute over one tree was rapidly turning into a fight for the soul of the entire neighborhood. With tensions at an all-time high, people were asking, who really holds the power here? And what price will we all pay if this battle continues to spiral? The stakes have never been higher, and the next chapter could change everything, for better or worse. The day of the big hearing finally arrived, and the whole neighborhood was on edge. Emotions were running high as the details of Karen's midnight tree cutting were laid bare in front of the community and the authorities. The evidence was clear. Cutting down a 100-year-old historic tree without permission wasn't just reckless, it was illegal. Karen's felony charge stuck, and the judge made it clear that the neighborhood's heritage and safety couldn't be compromised by personal grudges or power plays. Many of us felt a sense of relief, believing justice had finally been served. But just when it seemed like the story was wrapping up, the final twist shocked everyone. During the hearing, new information came to light. Karen wasn't acting alone. Documents revealed that some HOA board members had quietly approved a plan to remove several old trees in the neighborhood, hoping to modernize the area and raise property values. The midnight cutting was only the first step, a test to see how far they could push their agenda. This sparked a bigger investigation into the HOA's leadership and their hidden motives. Suddenly, the conflict was no longer just about one tree or one person. It was about who controls the future of the neighborhood itself. The community was left wondering, how do we protect what we love when those in charge don't have our best interests at heart? The fight isn't over, and the real battle for our neighborhood's soul is just beginning. Suddenly, the conflict was no longer just about one tree or one person. It was about who controls the future of the neighborhood itself. The community was left wondering, how do we protect what we love when those in charge don't have our best interests at heart? The fight isn't over, and the real battle for our neighborhood's soul is just beginning. After the shocking revelations about the HOA's secret plans, the neighborhood finally came together like never before. What started as a fight over a single tree grew into a movement to protect the heart and history of our community. The felony charge against Karen stood, but it was clear she had become a symbol of something bigger. How power can be misused when people put personal agendas ahead of the community's well-being. The felony charge against Karen stood, but it was clear she had become a symbol of something bigger. How power can be misused when people put personal agendas ahead of the community's well-being. The HOA board faced intense scrutiny. Several members resigned and new, more transparent leadership was elected. The community worked with local officials to create stronger protections for historic trees and public spaces. We held meetings where everyone had a voice. Even some neighbors who had supported Karen began to see the damage caused by secret decisions and midnight actions. As for my 100-year-old tree, while it couldn't be brought back, its story sparked awareness and respect for the natural and historic parts of our neighborhood. The loss was painful, but it taught us all the importance of standing up for what we believe in, speaking out when something feels wrong, and working together to protect what matters. Looking back, this experience changed our neighborhood forever, not just because of the felony charge or the midnight cutting, but because it reminded us that community is more than rules and property lines. It's about trust, respect, and shared history. So if you ever find yourself facing a fight like this, remember, staying united and speaking up can make all the difference. This story is a reminder that sometimes, even when things seem dark, standing together can bring light. And that's a lesson we'll carry with us long after the last leaf has fallen.